Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday Health, Wellness, and Lifestyle Program with Linda Dorman, your host and co host, Dr. Donna Christensen. We haven't been here for a while because we've been taking a self care break, something that we encourage everyone to do, right, Donna? Every
Yes.
once in a while. So we're glad to be back and bring yet again an amazing set of programs here on our TV.network. We have a wonderful guest today, and
Yes,
I
we do.
cannot emphasize that enough. A long term friend of Dr. Donna Christensen. But I've had the pleasure of having a wonderful set of conversations with her, Dr. Barbara Collins, who is the CEO of Positive Trends Incorporated in Pennsylvania, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
And the she is an author, she is a professor, she is a speaker, and I have come to appreciate and learn in a very short time that she is a transformational, at least that's what I'm going to call you,
Okay.
transformational life coach. And when I say life, I mean midlife. So we're going to talk a lot about that, and about
Right.
your books, and about your business, Positive Trends Incorporated. And I just want to make sure that as we introduce you, we do not leave anything out. And I know that Donna, Dr. Christensen would have a lot to say. So I want to give her that opportunity to make some further introduction.
Yeah. And I'm going to keep it brief because we have a lot to talk about. But you've already talked about her being the CEO of Positive Trends and her an blogger, author. But Barbara or Dr. Collins is
No, Barbara's fine.
living what she coaches with women who are in their midlife, late life, have retired, or just considering a new career at any age. So she's really in what I would consider her fourth multifaceted career, which is what we're going
Wow.
to talk about today. But she began as an elementary school teacher. She's been in busy for over 40 years. She started as an elementary school teacher, then as a college professor, and she still is an adjunct professor at Rosemont College in Pennsylvania, and later as a human resources lead and in organization development in the corporate sector. But we're now into the fourth part of her life. But she's written many articles for her newsletter, for magazine publications, and of course her blog, as well as two books. The first one was It's Your Turn, Find Your Authentic Self and Fetch It. And it speaks to what we're going to be talking about today.
Mhm.
And her latest book is Power in Midlife and Beyond, 14
Mhm.
Ways to Create an Authentic Life. And that's available at Barnes and Noble.
Wow.
Barbara went to Cheney for her undergraduate degree.
Mhm.
Got a master's at Antioch College in Ohio in counseling psychology, and her ED, her doctorate in psychoeducational processes, and she'll have to tell you what that is, at Temple University in Pennsylvania. But Barbara believes that women deserve to feel empowered to create authentic choices in their second half of their lives. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
And that was phenomenal. Thank you, Dr. Christensen. And let me say this, that I am salivating over here. If you see me look down, it's because I'm taking notes. I try to pay attention because I'm asking questions along with Donna. But today I need to be the student because I am in that category, midlife. And I want to learn everything and understand everything that you have inspired to learn and to teach, and the impact that you're making out there, which I know is phenomenal because our conversation, I came away impacted in a
I'm so
positive
glad.
way. So right off the bat, we just want to talk about what is Positive Trends Incorporated. Give us a sense and an overview.
And Barbara, you could also, in answering, tell us how you decided. I mean, you've been an educator, you've been in the corporate world doing a lot of great things. How did you decide to enter this new career?
Oh, sure. First of all, I'm honored. I'm so excited to be here. Really, really connected to you, Linda, and my dear, dear friend Donna. So I'm excited. So, a lot to talk about.
Yes.
Positive Trends started almost 28 years ago. Positive Trends was designed for me to work with organizations to consult in diversity and total quality and training. That was my initial goal. So I stayed in that category for about 10 years and
Mhm.
then decided right away I plan to teach at a college level. So that's my story that goes on and on and on. But Dr. Donna asked a very good question, which I told you about, Linda. Why did I start? When did this start for me to have the catalyst to plan my life that I have now? Well, interesting enough, it started when I was 40, and I'm decades older. But the catalyst for me to think about my future while I was raising two girls as a single parent, working 50 hours a week in corporate, I used to visit my mom. She was head of senior living. She got a master's in gerontology at 68. And at age 40, 42, I used to visit her every now and then. She always said, Barbara, look around these faces. She was senior living director. She said, make sure your face does not look empty. Their faces at that time looked so sad. She said, you want to make sure you create your choices so you have something to do that fulfills your life moving forward.
Mm.
So the end of that short story, it's a longer story in my book, but I immediately went into action. My friends thought I was really weird, making up activities to discover who I am to work on my life later. But they went along with it. And so behold my activities or that I did. There was no Oprah, okay? No talk shows for women, not many books, especially by women of color. I made them up. And lo and behold, Don is right, I'm on my fourth career. Having a wonderful, so my passion is to help women, especially 40 and beyond, to realize this. You have the power to make choices how you want to live. And if you have a plan, you go work it and use it later on because you're going to need it as you get older. You're going to need it because Betty Davis said there are no sissies getting older.
Mhm.
You have to be able to handle it. So that's the answer to that story why I did it.
Mhm.
Why do you think that this has resonated so successfully? Because you've been successful, you're a speaker across the country and international. I'm quite certain you've been able to mainstay and work with this unique constituency from 40 to, as you said, it's hard to believe that, did you say 30 more decade, 30 more
Yeah.
years? Okay. Okay. I'm not going to buy that, but that's okay. That's all right. But if
That's
you're
okay.
doing something, let me know.
I went to the last birthday party, so I'm
So
not
you
gonna,
can
I'm not
validate.
gonna add to it, but I know what that number is.
She knows what that number is. Yeah.
Well, outstanding. Well, then we all need to actually do what you and frankly Donna is doing,
That's
so that
Donna.
we will be in that same position.
Yes.
Why do you think this resonates so much? What are you finding out there that women in midlife have lacked or need, but need to be able to transform, that gravitate to this body of work? That
Yes.
really would be the first step, I would think, is to come out of denial or recognize or somehow push themselves into that self-care lane.
I read a lot of books in my 40s about getting older. The best description I know is by a book called Midlife Awakening by Kathleen Brehony.
Mhm.
I like science, I like research. And in her book, she says, when you get that nudge on your shoulder that everybody gets, women, especially in midlife, it's a psychological nudge that says, it's like the adolescent brain, she says, do something, do something. Who are you? You're getting older. Women, we are wired to feel that. But what happens to us as women, we're so wired that we don't feel that we need to take a pause and figure out what it is. What is the nudge? What is this thing can bother me that I have to do something else? Well, psychologically, it is a nudge. But some women, unfortunately, they
Mhm.
go out and buy the big Corvette to make it easy way, or
Mhm.
they eat it away, fill the void with food. Or I have some women who told me they drink a lot
Mm.
because they didn't know what to do. They don't have how do I figure out what's next? But the biggest thing I've learned with women I've coached, we don't feel worthy enough.
Wow.
We lack worthiness that
Mhm.
we feel we have the permission. You said it, Linda, permission to
Mhm.
take time to think about me.
Yes.
Most women suffer from that. Really.
And I think that that's a pivotal word. When you give permission, it's not to, harm anyone else around you,
Right.
that you have come into association with in one
Right.
form or another as part of your life construct.
Yeah.
But it's now having that healthier, more authentic you, which I love in one of your books, is being able to depart from that construct in a healthy way that gives you the permission to go into that next iteration of your life, your
Right.
next episode. Is interesting because a CEO I once talked to, he said that we have these jobs forever, and then you lose that job, or you retire, and your whole identity crushes as a result thereof. But
Yes.
that we should look at our career and our life events and put them in editions. What edition are you in? Are you
Yes.
in the middle edition? Or are you in the third edition? Are you in the
Right.
last edition? And rewrite that story over and over and over again. That is just as exciting as if it were the new first edition.
That's
And
so.
I think, as we go through life, there are a lot of things that interest us that we probably don't have time to
Yeah.
really develop. And so we should look at some of those things. And I think, Barbara, you were telling me about a client who decided on a cooking career.
Yeah. I was telling Linda about her.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and she was retired now
She was
and
a doctor.
a physician, and she actually began a business.
Well, actually, I was telling Linda, this particular client was working as a physician.
Mm.
And when I spoke, talking about choices and second career, she came to me. Donna, do you remember she said, Dr. Collins, thank you for taking the shackles off my hand.
Wow.
I got goosebumps. I said, no, I did. She, no, you gave me the word to create a choice. So what she did, she felt guilty about leaving a wonderful career as a doctor, big house, 2 cars, kids, money. She felt guilty that she thought she had to give that up. I said, no, 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 no. Take a course or read something about what you think you might want to do right now, just part time. She said, oh, I got it. And she said, what she figured out when she talked to me, she said, I want to be a chef, but I didn't want to tell anybody. So I'm going to just take one course. I told Linda, I always wonder, Donna, where is she today? That was only 6 years ago. But I did have a client
Mm.
who heard me speak. And fast forward, first of all, she told me,
Mhm.
you have to be where your client is, okay? You have to resonate the same kind of joy. So
Yes.
I said to her, she read my book, so she told me, oh, Dr. Collins, I've figured out. I know what it is. I'm going to make the best peanut brittle ever. You should have faced it up. And guess what her job was? The highest state controller in the state of New York City.
Mm.
So some people would say, peanut brittle? What? No, no. The construct is she had joy.
Yes.
She was felt fulfilled, and it was easy because she knows how to do it. So fast forward, guess what happened? I spoke in my daughter's book signing 4 years later after I saw her. I told that story. I get tears when I think about it. And her name is Rita. I get tears. And when I finished the story, all the women said, oh my God, there's Rita. She's right there.
Oh, wow.
God, I said, no, they said, Rita was shocked. So I said, and they said, oh my God, she makes the best peanut brittle in New Jersey. And she was successful. And it's
It-
not cheap because she told me it was not going to be cheap. I said, Rita, wow. So she said, yes. She said, I did it. She still sells it. But she figured it out because she gave herself permission
Mhm.
to explore. And that's what my course teaches. The first step is to experiment, explore. But construct word, as you said, Donna and Linda, is
Mhm.
make sure whatever you pick, I don't care if it's peanut brittle, chef, I don't care what it is, make
Mhm.
sure it comes easy.
Mhm.
Mm.
Make sure it's your natural strength. Like the Bible says, where your hand turns easy to.
Yes.
That's your natural strength.
Yes.
We all, God didn't put us in this world with a blank DNA.
That is
We
so
all have gifts. So the first part I teach women says, be clear about your why, and let's discover who you really are.
yeah.
That's the process.
Do you think that in that discovery process, Barbara, that that's the hiccup? That from our childhood and we go into this book that has been laid out
Yeah.
that makes so much sense. And sometimes there's a rebellion, you may take a detour, but there's still this construction that creates a representative of who you really are, that you really actually believe that you might even be living on purpose and that there's one single purpose. Maybe there's
Right.
multiple, and
Right.
maybe it's situational, where purposes change because it comes easy to talk to individuals or easy to teach or easy to provide services without recognition is just an easy thing to do. Or even those who discover that they're actually artists, because now they have taken off the representative and their creative side really was the more dominant side, and they never knew that. They were the artist lawyer who was told to be a
Right.
lawyer, but now they're like an amazing artist.
Yeah.
How have you found a way to work with women to kind of break that down
Yeah.
without them breaking? I think that's the thing, is that you get to midlife and you feel like, oh my gosh, I've wasted so much time, where that's not what you want to have a woman to think. It's really, I've gained so much knowledge from the time that I've been given to be able to now move forward. How do you get that start? How do you get that person to
I
move?
think spending time with her
Mhm.
and have her feel courageous that it's okay to discover who you really are.
Mhm.
Because sometimes it's kind of scary to discover who you are. It can be. But I share with women that this is a time that you need the courage to know whatever you're going to find is good because God made you.
Oh,
The
that's wonderful.
process, whatever it is good. The process is to realize that it's going to take some exploration. And you know what, Linda and Donna, a lot of our friends know us better than we know ourselves. And they see more in us than what friends who you trust see more in us. Do you believe that? I do.
Mhm, mhm,
I
mhm.
was thinking that as you were talking about the purpose, I was thinking, wouldn't it be an interesting exercise to have, because we do the 360s in business, wouldn't it be interesting to do a survey and help people to say, what do you see about me that comes easy?
I
That I
did
never
it.
thought, oh, you did? Oh,
I
tell us
did.
about that.
It's so
'Cause
funny
that would be a
because
great start.
my best friends in high school, I was Donna knows this story, and I was 42. Remember making up? So I made this up. I said, I want you all to come to lunch with me. Of course, you had to pay them because it's lunch. And we went to Jezebel's. They knew me from high school and was one man there who was my first boyfriend. I was very courageous. So, so I went to lunch. I said, okay, what was I doing in high school that made it look easy?
Mhm.
Now, readers will say, but Barbara, how can you forget? Life kicks in. And
Yeah.
as women, we tend to poo poo or shove aside something that came easy to us that people liked.
Yes.
And said, well, that's easy, Barbara. You always wanted to be, I told Linda this time, you always wanted to be in the corny high school plays and you love to act and perform. Why did I forget though?
Mm.
Why?
Life.
That was a hiccup.
Yeah.
Life kicked in. I did not give myself permission. TD Jake said something this morning. I didn't clap for myself.
Mm.
I love it. He said, we don't clap that we did well in high school and keep clapping. So I
Yeah.
forgot. But here's the work. Here's the work. It's not easy. What do you think I had to do once they all told me? If I'm on a quest to really discover, is that what I want to do? And it comes easy, what do you think the work is? Experiment. That meant the courage said, Barbara, take a course while you're working in acting.
Mhm.
I had to prove to myself, I had to do something on my natural self and people to see if that was really true. And guess what happened?
Was it true?
Yes, 50
Yeah.
hours a week. I took an acting class. I used to be exhausted. Well, all I wanted to do is go home to my kids. So I had some help. I had a therapist. As mental health, I had no problems at that age in the 80s to get a coach. And she said, okay, so what are you going to do? Because I was afraid to take an acting class. That's a whole nother story, but I did it. And guess what? I loved every single minute. I could do it for hours. That was the biggest clue. But I told Linda, Donna, that some things I tried just didn't work. And I told them, that's okay. Move on.
That's the exploration you talked about.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to step out of what has been your comfort
Yes.
zone. You know?
Yes.
And
It's so hard.
even when I ran for office, and I think I said this when I spoke at one of your sessions, Barbara, it was like, if I don't do this, I'm going to feel like I
Yeah.
disappointed myself.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. You're right.
Because it was a hard choice.
It's
to make.
hard.
And
Why do you think it's hard? What it actually makes it hard? That's to me that's such an important concept that you just
So
said.
many things.
What makes
well,
it
you know, I
hard if
wasn't
it's just a
unhappy with
choice?
my career. I wasn't unhappy with my career.
Right.
And then stepping into politics is a whole, you're
Whole
giving your
new-
life away. So,
When Donna said she was going in politics,
Thank you for that service.
thank you. When Donna said politics, I said, what? But that's what Donna was right. It's not easy.
my medical school classmates said they were not surprised. I should have taken them out to lunch and
And done that. Well, there's so many more things that we want to talk about, and we're
Yeah.
already at a break. I mean, that went really quickly, didn't it? So we're going to
Yes.
have more conversation as we come back for health, wellness, and lifestyle with myself, Linda Dorman, and Dr. Donna Christensen, and our wonderful guest, Dr. Barbara Collins from Positive Trends here on OurTV.network. We'll be right back and having more conversation.
This is the Bloomberg Real Estate Report. I'm Denise Pellegrini. Demand for homes in Southern California and elsewhere is softening, but buyers are still scrambling to find the place they like that they can afford.
It's still definitely a seller's market. Inventory is low.
Marco Santarelli is founder and CEO of Narada Real Estate Investments.
What we have to realize is that we've been in a strong seller's market for quite a long time, and there's such a lack of inventory in Southern California, especially in Orange County and LA County, that demand still outstrips supply.
Santarelli also says instead of discouraging people from buying, though, rising mortgage rates and work from home options, well, that's all just shifting some demand to more far-flung suburbs.
What people do, if they can't afford what they could have afforded before, is they move to more outlying regions. So you drive until you can afford to purchase whatever it is you're looking for.
And that's the Bloomberg Real Estate Report. I'm Denise Pellegrini.
The next year I went back, I ended up winning and became I got the Marvin Sims Award, which is like the best diverse actor. And they called my name, and as I walked to the stage, white kids was throwing books at me. Real talk, right off the top of the balcony, like, because this black boy won.
And then finally, one day I was just cooking in the kitchen, and she was like, "Mommy, so-and-so touched me on my private parts like this," And it was that moment where, I had that moment where I told my mom, and my mom was the one that shut me down, and I had a choice, to make.
I shot back. But you can't claim self-defense when you got an illegal firearm and you're 16 years old.
I remember my brother right here, he was selling, he was doing this, but he got a break. He could have took that money and flipped it. He could have went back, Wake and Wire money, 17 episodes. I could flip that.
Even on the out there, I did not flip. He didn't flip the wire, but I went straight. My bad, I'm moving on.
I was a single friend for 6.5 years, and I was going through my situationships, Y'all know the situationships, men. Then I found, just like for myself, again, like, oh girl, you still recovering from your childhood. Like, what you about to do with a man right now?
I had an agent, sometimes some years after that, tell me that if you don't do nudity, you're not a real actress.
So did they get fired? So let's
Should have gotten fired that way.
Everybody's laughing. They're like, oh my God. They go, okay, great. Are you SAG? I was like, nah, I'm Puerto Rican and black. And everybody did that. Like, we can pick up the sides right now and start going. I know this group that I'm with is about that. We're about that. Like, I'm about the work. You know what I mean? Like,
chasing Hollywood industry. Who chasing?
So I saw Chasing Hollywood. I was like, yo, we don't have to change that name and do something because niggas don't chase.
I feel like we're living. That's the term that Hollywood uses.
It's not about just today, me, and blah, blah, blah. What we are doing is being documented. Our grandkids, our great-great-grandkids can see how we all walk, talk, sound, look in our prime. And, you know, something about that is very beautiful. And I think that is another element that kind of attracted me to it, is that it never dies. You never die through this art form.
I'm Charles Meriday, and I'm in the restaurant business. In my 20 years as a chef and restaurant owner, I've been able to work and eat in some of the great kitchens around the globe. There's a whole side of the restaurant that most people will never get to see. So now, I want to take you to the back of the house, into kitchens of some of the best chefs in the world. Along the way, I'll share some of my own tips and recipes so you can cook like a pro too. So join me in the back of the house for a whole new perspective on cooking and food. Order in. Roger. Serve it, please.
I'm glad that you came, please.
Well, welcome back to the second half of our health, wellness, and lifestyle with Linda Dorman and Dr. Donna Christensen. We are so blessed to have our special guest for today, Dr. Barbara Collins with Positive Trends, CEO of Positive Trends, author, professor, speaker, and transformational life coach. And I love this because I am one of her soon to be hopefully clients, because I am a midlife woman. And so she works specifically with this level of constituency, what we said, 40 to 40 beyond, that really can just contemplate how to bring back the quality of life in their midlife by really honing in on what brings them joy. We talked about what comes easy. We've talked about, and now, what we really want to be in a position to do. So let's talk now about some of the things that we should talk about that, what brings on midlife crises. I mean, we're all humming along and we've all gone through this pandemic and we've all gotten in touch with ourselves, presumably. I can't say that I have fully, but I've just forged ahead over the years. Can we talk a little bit about, events that bring about midlife crises and things that you have found?
Yes, actually, I wanted to read my 7 critical pain issues based on my survey that cause women to have such pain. The first one is women have a fulfilling life, but they have a fear of decline in mental and physical health is number 1. And that gets more challenging as they get older. Number 2, the fear of being alone. There are many women who either by death of a partner or actually not even a death of a partner, but the empty nest syndrome. When kids are off to college, they leave you starting their own life. That is a critical time. I remember when my 2 girls went to college off 2 years apart, I sat in the living room crying and said, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because I put all my energy and life into her and them. So my friend called me. He said, well, Barbara, guess what? Now it's your time to grow up. Okay. So number 3 is lack of personal time to take a pause and reflect on the future. A lot of women don't feel they deserve to take that time to do their inner work and explore. And it's very hard for them. A lot of women I talk to from the spectrum of having grown up in a life that they don't feel supported and they don't feel they have the strength to take a pause or been mentioned to guilt, a lot of guilt. The other one is, this is really, really paramount. Women have a lot of anxiety, a lot of women trying to figure out what's next. There's some women that have been birthed with strong mindsets of strength, but a lot of women who don't have that. They don't know how to figure that out by themselves. So living a life of uncertainty is quite scary. Donna mentioned before the break that a lot of women, it takes some courage because they don't know what's going to happen. The fear of uncertainty. Donna and I were very blessed because we were fortunate to have been ingrained in all this positive thinking and strength from my parents. But a lot of women don't have that, to move. The last one is, which is one of the reasons why I wrote the book, is not enough activities. They can't figure, well, what do I do when I retire? Because the job was their identity. So what now? I'm not working, so what am I going to do? So believe it or not, there are a lot of women who don't have any sense of direction or what they can do to fulfill their time. Okay,
Yes.
That's what they need help with.
It's interesting that
Barbara,
go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, because I know you went to a senior center, if one is ever too old to take up something new,
right,
that they might enjoy it. You went to a senior center recently. How did that?
Well, it's funny because you all know I model. Well, that's one of my things I've been doing for 20 years. But the seniors living center that I spoke at is a very upscale senior living. Not that it makes any difference, but it's very interesting. I changed the topic. I didn't talk about midlife because they're past midlife. The topic was, what if you live to be 100? Longevity is a good thing. And there's a lot of research right now 2 books I've read, it's a very possible thing that a lot of women who are 40, good health, will live to be 100. So my premise was, what are you going to do for all those years? So the audience realized they still have the power to create a choice. Now, this is a facility that has 200 clubs that you can join. So a lot of the women haven't taken advantage of those clubs. But there's something more that they can do. I discovered that at the senior living facility. They wanted to use more of the life they have left doing things. And you have to fill it up with, now I don't judge, I don't judge women. I have friends who just want to watch TV and go to lunches and dinners. But there's so many lunches and dinners you can go to.
That's true.
My doctor says, just tell them, Barbara, tell them to keep moving. Don't sit down, keep moving. So that's not healthy. But they don't know how to fill it up with. But don't go to the Amazon like one of my clients did.
That is extreme, but how exciting for that client.
And don't do skydiving.
Right, no skydiving, right.
I mean,
well,
some people do it and they enjoy it. So I'm not going to judge either.
No judging. There's some people. There's a beautiful.
Know your limitation.
Yeah.
It's something that what you just said that kind of.
So you're doing a course right now that started, I think, this month, right?
Actually, yes. It started. And the course is a 5-step program. And I think Linda was going to mention something about something that connects to that. But
well, you had mentioned movement, and let me just do a quick sound check. Donna, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Donna may not be able to hear me.
Yeah, I didn't think she was able to hear you.
I don't think
right.
so.
That's okay.
So, but
can you hear Linda?
We heard you, but you didn't hear Linda.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's okay. You go ahead and answer.
Well, I
can't hear her for some reason.
Okay. So we'll communicate elsewhere.
Okay.
Technology is a wonder, but one of the things that is so interesting, possibly when you talked about movement, you mean both exercise and activity, and even a thought movement to really reframe our mindset from having a midlife crisis to I read this somewhere, midlife movement.
Yeah.
And that movement is, think about it from not a crisis state, which can be perceived as negative and dire, but really, what's your movement? What are your new goals in life? And why wouldn't you have new goals? Why wouldn't you go get more education and training? Why wouldn't you explore a new relationship if one has now passed for whatever reason? Why wouldn't you go and get another career if that's what you really wanted, or change that hobby into generating money? Why not? I mentioned to you, one of my favorite authors is Louise Hay, and she said when she turned 50, she wanted to change her handwriting. And I thought that's pretty. And that was a push to come out of her norm. And I just thought that is really interesting, to purpose and intentionally want to change your handwriting to explore how to change everything else that she had prior to 50.
Yeah.
So I to mention that, and I think I concur with that. That's remarkable.
It's so important. And Donna mentioned my course, which dovetails what you're saying. I had found is critical for me to coach women that the first core value of aging, you have to be clear about what are your core values. At least 5, because that's going to be the motivation of how you want to live. So my top core value is physical energy. Now, if her top core value is family, that's okay, but we have to fit in how are you going to deal with mental and physical energy to live a good, healthy life. And that's so important. If you want to be able to age well, you need to check that out. What are you doing to age well? First, because if you can't age well, you can't do those things you love that come easy, right, Donna? You can't, right? You have to be able to really feel good about yourself, physically, mentally. But the course is a 5-step program. Thanks for asking, Donna. the first part is discover who you are. That's the first module. And the second two, I help them create a blueprint, which is very temporary because it may change 3 years. And I work with them in trying out things they want to do, because that's going to be the critical point. But Donna mentioned the unknown is probably the scariest. If you're going to explore, getting the courage to try it is the big hiccup for women. Because you have to get out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
To see if what you found works. So when I auditioned for Freedom Theater at age 44, doing my exercises, I was terrified. Audition with little kids. And the coach, the director, my good friend, he said, well, you sent Sherry and Monique to Freedom Theater for years. Now it's your turn. I said, I'm really scared. He said, so are these little kids. So I had to audition. I said, why do I have to audition? He said, because you are not an actor yet. So it's getting out of your comfort zone. And the monologue he gave me, I know he did it on purpose. Because I chickened out 3 times. He was not having it. He said, okay, the monologue was of a woman who had the potty mouth, cursed like up the desert. I said, I can't do this. He said, what do you mean can't do this? You have to audition in an hour. I said, no, next week. I said, it's cursing. He said to me, do you want to be an actor? I said, yes. Well, what do you think actors do? Okay, long story short, here's the funny part. Got all my best friends together to help me practice. When you know you're in your zone is when it comes easy. So I rehearsed and practiced. I noticed the room was so quiet. When I finished, they all looked at me and they said, oh my God, you went someplace else, which made it look very easy to them. That was a proof that I was in my zone. It came easy, but I had to get the courage to try it. I moved through the courage and I tried it and it worked. So today I'm still modeling and acting. I'm still doing it.
That's fantastic. And one of the things that I think that we have to acknowledge that, you know, women get to this place where that courage piece is very difficult, because that's really that first piece as you're describing. And I 100% agree, because beyond the courage wall is an amazing midlife to, you know, later in life, potpourri of opportunities to be the even the better person that you want to become. But we have to acknowledge the depression and the depressive behaviors that actually increase with midlife, and how to help women through menopause and hormonal changes and changes in sleep and boredom, the things that bog them down. You know, I just read something about, you know, that you have a challenge if you are addicted to social media and that's all you want to do. You mentioned someone who wanted to look at television. So we encourage our listeners and our viewers to think through your mental health so that you can make those vibrant, healthy decisions around tackling that courage, breaking down that wall so that you can live your best authentic midlife and beyond that. And Dr. Collins, one of the things that I think you did so well in expressing to us is that you didn't wait actually to be in midlife. So we're not talking also just to the women who are in midlife. We're talking to women and men who are actually planning for midlife and beyond, that this is really what is your plan? And I love that. What is your plan of action? What are you going to do? Because I heard you say that at 69 or 68, your mom achieved an educational goal and wanted to make sure that you had.
Barbara, could you just repeat what you're responding to in a way? So, because still, there's some problem with my hearing.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me repeat. Linda was talking about, her last point was my mother got her courage at 68. But a lot of women that I work with, myself, we started our plan like you, Donna. We started at a younger age to change careers. And that takes a lot.
50.
I know that, and Donna and I were parallel with each other at that age. But I think, Donna, do you agree that I think one of the supports for women are when we support each other?
Yes.
Don't you think so? Because I was supporting Donna. I mean, I would go visit her in Congress. I was in awe. She would come visit me, supporting each other that it's okay and it works. And we're, do you think so, Donna?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, the support makes it.
I think that's a key thing, support.
Now, we talk about your coaching individuals in midlife, later in life, but is there something that younger women can take advantage of?
Actually, Donna, that's a good question. Let me know if you can't hear me. Just do this.
I can hear you.
That is a very important question. When I was at a book signing at a bookstore, there were women I looked to be about in their 30s reading my book. I said to myself, my God, they're so young. I said, what do they see in my book? So I told them, I said, I'm glad you picked my book. What she said, no, you understand, Dr. Nolan, we need to know now. We need to know now so we can start thinking about what we want to do, because younger women today, I mean, they're like rock stars. I mean, you read about Black women all over the place, Black and white, but they have a resilience in them that starts early in age. But what I do think, they're more adept to experimenting and going for it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not loyal to, this is not negative. A lot of research says the baby boomers like us are most loyal to work. We will stay 30, 40 years. Not the millennials. My daughter's friends, they will leave a job in a heartbeat if it's not working for them.
Yeah.
So they're willing to try the risk. That's why I see the younger ones.
And I read something around the millennials and the generation behind them, that they're not working to retire for age.
Right.
They're working to retire when they have enough finance to be in a position to do that and move through the next iterations of their career or their business or their hobbies, because they're not identifying with what they're doing. They're being who they are.
Right.
Inside wherever that particular.
That is so true, Linda.
Yes.
So true.
And what was that?
That's okay.
Can you just repeat a little bit for Donna? Because I think
Linda was saying that the millennials, Donna, are not retiring for change or longevity. They're retiring for economics. They want to be able to fulfill their dream early on. They're not waiting like
That's true.
They're not. So the young ones are reading my books. My daughter gave me a book signing in my 40s. I said, Monique, who's going to come? She said, Mom, trust me. The room was packed. I've done it for attorneys, 40, 45. I told Angela, I said, Angela, this is early on. She said, Barbara, trust me, because the room was packed. And what they talked about mostly in their age group, they are getting burnt out by category. Lawyers are getting women, attorneys getting burnt out. And
well, I'm sure with COVID, a lot of people are burnt out and people are leaving the health professions. And they'll be looking for something.
Yeah, they really are.
To fulfill their,
they really want something else to do. So they are, Linda, really looking for something to do. But it's a process. I always say you don't get a degree from my course. This is no certificate, because it's something women are still doing. But they have tools to help them go through the process.
Yes. How would someone come to connect with you?
So
Dr.
the course is going well. You also, in addition to doing the online piece, you do individual coaching.
I do coaching. I do professional speaking.
Individual.
Yeah.
With some of your clients in that course.
My clients one-on-one or group coaching or my course or professional speaking. And Linda just asked the same question you just asked.
Okay.
How can they reach me?
Okay.
Okay, so the best way is on my website. Okay. My email address is Keynote, Keynote, at drdrbarbaracollins.com or Facebook. I'm on Facebook constantly. Facebook is under Dr. Collins Author. My Facebook profile is Dr. Barbara Collins Author. Plan your second half of life. I think Facebook is probably easier, a messenger or website. Sign up for my newsletter. That's a big way to reach me. Sign up for my newsletter and you'll hear from me once a month about key things that I'm doing. So thanks for asking. That's a big piece of how I communicate with women.
Wonderful. I'm going to repeat that. It's actually, your website is Dr. Barbara Collins, 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 one word, .com.
Right.
And your email is keynote, the word keynote, one word, at drbarbaracollins.com.
Yes.
And like I did, I found you. I went, after our conversation, I Googled you and went straight over to Facebook and signed up.
Oh, good.
Liked your page and shared your page. So we want you to like, share, and comment to be in a position to connect well with you and to go forward. Well, we have and we have about 2 minutes left, pearls of wisdom for our midlifers who are wanting to explore and do things and be inspired by you. What would we say for our next 2 minutes? And I'll let Donna know that we have 2 minutes left and she can, provide some insight as well.
Yeah. Donna, we have 2 minutes left. Okay. So whatever ending insights we have, Linda said for us to share. And I'll let you go first, Donna. I just closed with something, but I'll let you go first with any insights you have.
Well, I think this is an important program for us to have. And really, Barbara, it covers the gamut. I mean, you're on radio here in the Virgin Islands, but there's Tempo, there's Roku TV. So that the message should go, far and wide. And I think it's really important because we want, as you want, women to make sure that we live our life to the fullest and enjoy it as we go
that's right. I'm not the only resource. I'm really not. I mean, I was one of few, but you have so many resources. So many people have written some great books. And there's so many TV shows, but the work really depends on the individual, really. But reading helps a lot. I love Dr. James R. Hollis's book. It's called Finding Meaning in the Second Half of Life. Mm-hmm. James Hollis, How to Finally Really Grow Up. This is one of the best. So the resources I leave, I am one, but I think that most thing I value, Linda said I can say this, I find a lack of coaching as a person of color, reaching women of color. I'm not saying others don't, but there's been a lack of access. I believe you can only be what you see. Mm-hmm. So if you see me and have sheroes that look like you aging, it makes it a lot easier. Wonderful. So I have role models. I have Phyllis Rashad, who is a major role model, Rita Moreno, Judi Dench. If you can see us like me and Donna thriving, it helps for women who are having it more difficult on how to begin their second half.
Well, we're going to clap for us. Let's all clap for us.
Well, thank you.
And say thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Pleasure, we had some sound issues.
Thank you.
But
and we encourage everyone.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Yes. Have a good afternoon on the Health, Wellness, and Lifestyle program with Dr. Donna Christensen, Linda Dorman. Thank you so much, Dr. Barbara Collins.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it. All of it. Have a great day. Okay. Absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.